know that documentary can have a concrete impact on our world.
It's important for people to understand that a subject, that's a real person.
I had been invisible for a long time.
I was able to get my mom a new car, a new house.
I wanted this. I didn't really give thought to how it might affect my children.
A compelling new documentary looks at the life-altering experience that comes with sharing one's personal life with the world. Subject features the stars of popular documentaries like Hoop Dreams, capturing the Friedmans, and The Staircase to see how their lives were affected and what they are doing now.
Jennifer Tiexiera and Camilla Hall are the film's co-directors, and they join us live. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So first, I wanted to talk about Hoop Dreams because that's a documentary that's so familiar to many Chicagoans. The subjects, you talked with Arthur. What did you find? Did he find that experience rewarding, or did he look back on it and say, gosh, I wish I had thought more differently about it at the time?
Arthur had an amazing experience. Yeah. I think a lot of us in our industry use Cartemquin, who the company behind Hoop Dreams, as a model as far as documentary ethics goes. They have a great model when it comes to compensating their participants and transparency. So someone like Gordon Quinn, who's featured in our film, has been talking about documentary ethics for the last 5 decades. And these were conversations a lot of us were having behind closed doors. And so we thought, why not make a film about it and open them a little wider?
Yeah, I suppose the experience, there are various experiences depending on the situation and so on, but you know, nobody's making somebody be in a documentary or be the subject of a documentary. So what's the worst case scenario?
I mean, I think the worst case scenario is feeling like you've agreed to something that obviously wasn't what you thought it was from the beginning. And sometimes documentaries can take, you know, if anything, up to 5 years, almost up to 20 years. Jen's worked on a documentary that took 20 years to make. So, you know, you have to really think about what is something that you can commit to that you're going to feel the same way about in that period of time. And so I think the worst thing that can happen is that you as a participant are very, you know, unhappy with the documentary and that it changes your life in a very adverse way. And I think just, you know, the fact that you kind of suddenly gain this public persona, I think it can be very terrifying for some people.
I was thinking about this when I was watching a true crime documentary the other day about, you know, we find it so interesting, it's entertaining, but at the same time it is about real people. And what the man that we showed earlier had mentioned, that he didn't think about the ramifications on his children. There's some collateral damage, I feel like, when sometimes some of these things air. What did you find, and how, ethically, how do you go about making sure that the story is still told, but that it doesn't necessarily damage people's lives?
Sure, I think documentary filmmaking it's always morphing and changing, right? Yeah. So it's really important to really just keep transparency through the process. I think one thing that we're really looking at, and a lot of conversations we have center around consent and these different ideas of consent around consent under duress, which is like when you approach somebody in prison or approach somebody on trial, continued consent, you know, when all of a sudden the film's being repackaged and resold again. And I think that it's up to us to really involve the participants more in those discussions and really think about they are real people. One of the things that we've noticed when traveling with subject is, you know, Margie Ratliff from The Staircase, I don't think anyone ever thought of her as a real person. Right. She's just the daughter from The Staircase. And a lot of times after these screenings, people just come up to her and they're like, I'm so sorry. I've been living and enjoying your family's trauma for the last 2 decades.
Well, you know, there are so many documentaries, very few get traction. Not a lot of people make documentaries, and very few of us will be the subject of a documentary. So I'm kind of curious as to why did you want to do this? Who do you think is the audience for this?
I mean, we really, obviously filmmakers, but beyond that, we really see the audiences of documentaries as having to watch this film. I mean, this is so many of our friends and family and people that have nothing to do with filmmaking love documentaries. They watch, you know, at least one a week, if not more. And yet there's so little understood about the form itself. People don't really know the difference between a documentary and a fiction often. We have, you know, friends and family members who say, oh, I watched this great thing the other week. And they actually don't differentiate between fiction and documentary. So for us, we felt it was just really really important that people understand what they're consuming. So yeah, I think that's really at the heart of it. It's for documentary fans everywhere.
And there have been some benefits. Some people have said that they have really benefited from being the subject of a documentary. The Wolfpack, which we're seeing scenes from right now, from what I understand, the subject of that felt like this really actually worked out. It was a story about a family, not a story again, but a true story about a family that was shut-ins in New York City.
Absolutely. They were able to see their situation as being something that wasn't working for them, as being very extreme. And now they're thriving. They're completely thriving. And Suzanne does, she does credit the documentary for being able to see that. And they're just the most wonderful people.
Well, Jennifer and Camilla, thank you. You can check out subject.film for more about the movie, and you can follow them on social media. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.